In this video, we're going to see what happens when we sing a few songs as it relates to the powers of 10. As you might remember, when we talked about subitizing and chunking, we started by selecting a object that we were going to act upon. And the object that we finally settled on was a 1 centimeter cube. This was for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that this is the base unit in Dean's base 10 blocks. When we built our visual representations, we were able to see from 0 through 9 of these, thanks to subitizing and chunking, but then we had to sing a song to create a new unit. It went like this: if you can regroup, you must regroup, and this is how you'll do it. 10. And this is the first unit that we built, and so this is now our 10. When we think about it, we have to ask ourselves, well, 10 what? And it's 10 units. So the single centimeter cube is our unit, and when we have grouped it the first time using our song, we have built a new unit that consists of 10 of the preceding unit. Now, when we put 10 of the 10s together and we sing the song again, let's practice it anyway, what the heck. If you can regroup, you must regroup, and this is how you'll do it. 10, we built a new unit that we named the 100, and of course the 100 consists of 10 of the preceding units. So as we take a look at this, what we see is that we started with 1 unit. We sang the song 1 time to generate a new unit that we call a 10. We then sing the song a second time to generate another unit, which we called the 100. Now, let's remember this. We're going to come back to this. This is fairly important. Right now, we're going to take a slightly different spin, though, before we address that. What happened when we put 10 of the 10s together? Well, if you can regroup, you must regroup. So we're going to sing the song again. That means that we have sang the song a total of 1, of 2, and of 3 times by the time we've created this relatively large new unit that is made up of 1,000 of the small centimeter cubes. Now, as we look just at the shapes, I want to show you something. Look what happens when we compare the shape of 1 unit and the shape of this 1,000. This 1,000 block has the exact same shape as what we started with. In fact, there's 1 of these things. So instead of talking about it in terms of 1 unit, we can talk about this in terms of 1,000. So let's play a little pretend right now. Let's pretend that we're going to go further and further and further back so that this thousands block looks smaller and smaller and smaller, and it now looks like this. That's now a 1,000 block. I will bet you can imagine what it would look like if we were to put 10 of those 1,000 blocks end to end, wouldn't we? So this would be 1,000. This would be 10,000. I'm going to ask you, what do you think 100,000 would look like? If you said this, you would be exactly right. This is 100,000. Now, to put it to scale, the distance from here to here would be 100 centimeters, or 1 meter. That's slightly over a yard. The distance from here to here would likewise be 1 yard, a little over, it's a meter, and it would be 10 centimeters high. So we're dealing with something that's a little over 3 foot square. It gives us a chance to really see how much larger these units would be. So we could talk about 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and what makes this quite interesting is what would happen when we take 10 of these 100,000s? Well, the shape would look like this. It would be 1 million. So the cycle can repeat again. We could talk about 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, and what we now have is a system where we can look at it and we can say, well, what does 1 look like? Well, a 1 is always going to look like the cube. What does 10 of something look like? Well, it's going to look like those long pieces right here. What does 100 of something look like? Well, it's going to look like a big flat. And that's true whether we're talking ones, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, or whatever grouping we're talking about. A 1 is always going to be a cube. And we have to ask ourselves, well, 1 of what? Is it 1 of the units? 1 of the billions? 1 of the Googles? It doesn't matter. It still has the same shape. Likewise, 10 trillion has this shape. Much bigger, obviously, but 100 million would have this shape. So we have this way now of organizing extremely large numbers just by keeping track of the powers of 10. That's how many times we've sang the song, and the shape of the place value that generates.